adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle and Friends. Starring that jet-A Jerry Lace, Rocket J. Squirrel, and his pal, Bullwinkle the Moose.
Hi, glad to see you again.
Likewise.
We got some great things on the show today.
Like what? Like what?
Well, you ought to know, Bullwinkle. You're in some of them.
Well, let's get started.
Let us return to Chateaubriand, where last time the desperate search for the king of applesauce Lorraine came to an end.
At last, Your Highness, now you can be returned to your rightful place on the throne.
That throne might be a little overcrowded, for Bullwinkle turned up with a very unreasonable facsimile of what Rocky had found.
Jeepers, now we got a pair of kings.
Whose bid is it? Mine. I bid 3 kings.
Yes, unbelievable as it seems, Athos, too, had found a king.
Which one of you is the real king of applesauce, Lorraine?
I am too.
It was Rocky's quick wit and keen eye that settled the problem.
You, sir, are a phony, planted here by Francois Villain.
I am not. I am the king.
Correction, you are a professional roller skater.
I am the king.
Then how come you're wearing roller skates?
Sure enough, the rascal had neglected to remove the tools of his trade.
As for you, you're an imposter, too.
I am the king.
No, you're not. You're a cross-country track star.
There on the back of the second pretender to the throne was the number 3. The third king had to be the real king. The next problem was how to escape. Now, at 12 o'clock noon each day, Chateaubriand had a changing of the guard. As the new shift marched in, the old shift marched out. And with them, posing as shiftless guards, went our heroes and the king. 5 miles from Chateaubriand, they came to a halt in front of the Outside Inn.
We'll stop long enough to get a bite to eat.
But there were a few surprises in store.
I am most sorry, but we have sent all the food to the palace for the celebration.
What celebration?
The coronation. At 5 o'clock, Francois Villain is proclaiming himself king.
And according to the egg timer on the wall, it was already 4:30.
Quick, we must get to the castle.
That would take some doing, for at that moment in walked a platoon of Francois Villain's elite guard.
Innkeeper, a bottle of soda pop and 16 straws.
Keep your voices down. They might not recognize us.
Good idea, Rock.
Why are you whispering?
Well, we don't want you to know that we are taking the king here back to the castle so that he can...
That did it. The fight was on, and it didn't look too good for our side. For one thing, Athos was furiously battling what he thought was a guard, but due to his poor eyesight, he was merely fighting his own image in a mirror.
I almost hate to kill you, you handsome dog.
It remained for Rocky and Bullwinkle to turn the tide, and turn it they did.
Alley-oop, Bullwinkle!
Here you go, Rock!
Come on, there's no time to lose. We got just enough time to get to the castle.
Wait, this fool will not die.
We're not quite sure how they did it, but they all arrived at the castle gate in less than a minute. It was then that Rocky noticed that while they had been running, the king had been skating.
Oh, no, we got the wrong king.
Meanwhile, inside the castle, the coronation ceremony was in progress.
Do you, Francois Villain, take this hat with the points on it to be your lawful wedded crown?
Oh, skip all this folderol and crown me.
I would love to, but you must wait until I finish my speech.
Athos, you run and bring back the right king while Bullwinkle and I stall the coronation as long as possible.
With that, Athos took off, but as luck would have it, he passed a gum machine on which there was a large mirror.
So, you have come back for more, eh? En garde!
Well, it's a terrible way to end an episode, but what are you going to do? Will Francois Villain get crowned? Will Athos defeat his arch-enemy? We'll find out in Rocky Draws the Line, or Who's Got My Ruler?
pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Again?
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! No doubt about it. I gotta get another hat.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
I thought I told you to whitewash the fence, Junior.
I am, Pop.
Well, it isn't necessary to write derogatory remarks about your best friend.
Skinny Aristotle's no friend of mine.
How can you say that? You and he have thrown discuses together for over 5 years.
Well, that's just it, Pop. You get tired of a person in 5 years.
I can't deny that, son. It's like I've always said, familiarity breeds contempt. Just like in the case of the son of the masked clock.
Son of the masked clock?
The masked clock was a fox who had an insatiable appetite for timepieces of all kinds. Every night of the week, he would hold up the stage and relieve the passengers of their wristwatches, stopwatches, and anything else they had so long as it ticked. Of course, as I always say, crime doesn't pay, which brings to mind another fable, which I'll save for later. Anyway, the masked clock, or fox if you prefer, was caught and subsequently languished away in prison. He left behind $20 million, one old pocket watch, and a son named Guy.
As your late father's attorney, it's my duty to turn over this money and this watch to you.
You can keep the watch. Just give me the money.
Not so fast, son. Your father tried to atone for his misdeeds in life. He returned every watch he had stolen, with the exception of this one.
Well, I'll return it, but I would like to spend some of this money first.
And spend it he did. 2 days later at the racetrack, he counted up his losses.
How do you like that? I have already lost $5 million, and I haven't made a bet.
Sitting in a nearby box was a familiar figure.
Have you returned the watch yet, son of the masked clock?
What watch?
The one your father didn't give back.
No, but I will do that tomorrow.
The following day, he took a plane to Monte Carlo, and that evening, standing in front of the roulette table, counted up his losses.
How do you like that? I have lost $10 million, and I still have not made a bet.
Yes, but did you return the watch?
What watch?
The one you're going to tell me you're going to return tomorrow.
Correction. The one I'm going to tell you I'm going to return next week.
Ah, but next week found him in a San Francisco real estate office.
I got $5 million left. I want to invest it in real estate.
2 minutes later, he was the proud owner of Death Valley. 3 minutes later, he was wandering the streets, penniless and destitute.
Oh, well, easy come, easy went.
Just then, he spotted a familiar figure coming his way.
Say, I will bet this is going to surprise you. Today, I am going to return that watch.
What watch?
The one my father never returned.
Inscribed on the back of the watch was the owner's name and address. Off the young fox went to do his deed. Unfortunately, 10223 was the address of the state prison.
I would like to see Mr. Britt, please.
Oh, nobody sees him. He's in solitary confinement for life.
It's my duty to return this watch, and nothing but nothing will stop me.
It suddenly struck the young wolf that the easiest way to get into prison was to commit a crime. Seeing a wanted poster of Tommy Gunn, the notorious bank robber, gave him an idea.
Mr. Gunn, I want to join your gang of hoodlums.
Well, you're in luck, Buster, because it just so happens we're short one hood. Be at the last National Bank at 2:30.
Mr. Hoover, Tommy Gunn is going to rob the last National Bank at 2:30. You could catch us all red-headed.
Good work, men. Take them down to headquarters.
Hold it, Chief. This one doesn't go. He's the one who tipped us off.
Congratulations, boy.
But don't I get to go to jail? Look at all this money I just robbed.
Keep it for a reward, boy.
Again, the son of the masked clock returned to the prison wall, willing to try anything to get inside. The fact that it was the darkest night of the year gave him a plan. Rope in hand, he started scaling the wall. But by sunup the next morning, he was still scaling. It was then he discovered he was on the 600th floor of the Gruber building in downtown Bakersfield. And in downtown Bakersfield, this was a felony.
Tough luck, buddy. You'll go to state's prison for this.
Happy day. Now I can return the watch. What do you think the judge will give me? 30 days?
Hard to tell. It's a new judge.
It may have been a new judge, but he had an old, familiar face.
You again. Did you ever return that watch?
Not yet, lawyer of my late father. You see...
Quiet! There's been a rash of Gruber building climbing in downtown Bakersfield, and I mean to put a stop to it. I was going to give you 30 days. Instead, I'm giving you 30 years.
And so the son of the masked clock finally did return the watch. But the fact that he annoyed the judge throughout the years caused him to spend the best years of his life behind bars. So you see, Junior, that is a perfect example of how familiarity breeds contempt.
That's almost right, Pop.
Almost.
Yeah. In this case, I'd say familiarity breeds contempt of court.
And a habeas corpus to you, too, son.
Hello there, poetry lovers. Today's poem is a saga of the sports world entitled Jack Be Nimble. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack jump over the cat.
Hold it, Moose.
Who are you?
Allow me to introduce myself. Nimble's the name. Jack B. Nimble.
Nimble?
My card.
High Jumps Incorporated. Candle wicks a specialty.
You sir it.
Well, I sort of thought of jumping over this one myself.
Yourself? You got union card?
What union?
Local 89, Hop, Skip, and Jumpers Union?
Well, no.
You jump over that thing and we'll snuff out every candle in town.
Okay, you do it.
No, you talking.
Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack jump over the candle wick.
Ta-ta! That'll be $40.
$40? How come?
Minimum wage law.
Minimum wage law?
Certainly. Minimum wage is $1 an hour.
So?
So obviously I get $40 a week.
Today's lesson is mighty important, remember?
Bullwinkle is a...
Not that lesson. This lesson.
Hello out there, Peabody here, and that is my trusty boy, Sherman,
Hi.
who will assist me in our next exciting adventure back into history.
Shall I set the Wayback Machine, Mr. Peabody?
Please do, Sherman, but I suggest you use both hands, for we are going way back with a way back this time, to the year 50,000 BC, to be exact.
50,000 BC?
That is correct, and the place will be Neanderthal, near Dusseldorf, where we shall meet the first caveman. Sherman and I entered the Wayback and were instantly whirled back in time to the period when the fourth glacial age was rising toward its maximum. But no sooner had we arrived than I immediately realized that something was amiss.
Mr. Peabody, we're moving. What's happening?
I think that if you will look down, Sherman, you will see that we happen to be on a very precarious perch. Which, now that I think about it, was probably the understatement of the year.
Yipe!
Well, at that moment, the great beast passed beneath a large tree. So, instructing Sherman to follow my example, I grasped the nearest limb and we swung to safety.
Phew, that was a close one.
We then prepared to climb down from the tree, but we suddenly heard a strange sound.
Ugo, mift. Mift nicht du?
What's that?
Offhand, I would say that we are not alone in this tree.
Moop, nip, poop.
Mief.
We're in luck, Sherman. There is the perfect example of Homo neanderthalensis.
You mean cavemen?
Well, obviously not cavemen if they're living in this tree. We were unable to understand what they were saying, but we watched them closely from our vantage point.
Ik het nun moeft, ook het flap.
Nog het flits op.
Aga ik het nun moeft.
Sprit vroeg niet. Nappa, let's cram at up.
Sheesh.
What was that all about?
It would seem to indicate they realize there's a better way of life than living in a tree. Come, Sherman, we'll follow them and see what develops. And what developed was most interesting indeed, for in their first attempt to find a better place to live, they passed right by a perfectly good cave and squeezed under, of all things, a wet rock.
Zoop, noep, noep.
Mief nog skruik mief.
Noep mogem zip bord zagna.
Skriet lit cram.
Once more, bypassing the cave, they next tried a gopher hole, but the gopher objected. Prehistoric gophers could be quite objectionable. In the next 2 hours, they tried to live in everything from bushes and brambles to stumps and hollow logs, but still didn't give the cave a second look. I used the Yang Na Indian hand signs in an attempt to explain the merits of living in a cave.
Sig nu kronitz.
Och nim ik mif nu nipnen cashew.
They still don't get it, Mr. Peabody. Maybe if I go into the cave, they'll get the idea.
No, no. But before I could stop him, Sherman was in the cave. But not for long.
Meow! Mr. Peabody, there's a saber-toothed tiger in that cave.
I noticed that, Sherman.
It's no wonder those two wouldn't go inside. Gee, they'll never become cavemen at this rate.
Yes, they will, Sherman. It's a simple matter of getting the saber-toothed tiger out so they can go in.
Simple?
Quite, Sherman. Come. Pulling up a very special bush that I'd happened to notice earlier, I tied it to one end of a long vine and instructed Sherman to tie a large round boulder to the other. Next, I tossed the bush into the cave and signaled to Sherman to roll the boulder down the hill. As it rolled, it pulled the bush after it. And, as I knew it would, the saber-toothed tiger bounded out of the cave, happily following the bush down the hill until he was lost from sight.
Hooray! You did it, Mr. Peabody. But how did you know the tiger would follow that bush?
Elementary, my dear Sherman. That bush happened to be Nepeta, or more commonly known as catnip. The tiger, being all cat, found it impossible to resist. And now, being free to enter the cave, our two friends quickly did so and immediately set up light cave-keeping.
At last. They're now real cavemen, huh, Mr. Peabody?
Yes, and others were soon to follow their example. Soon everybody was living in caves. But this brought another problem that man had to face, the paying of taxes.
Taxes? Wow, that is a big problem.
Of course, Sherman. We all know that everything is big in taxes.
It never fails to amaze me how he can stand there and say such corny things with such a straight face.
Ugala soon fits.
It's with a great deal of alarm that we return to Applesauce Lorraine, for it looks as though Francois Villain is about to become the new king.
When I reign, I am going to pour.
And pour aptly describes the situation our heroes are in. You will no doubt recall that they rescued what they thought was the real king and arrived just outside the castle walls only to discover that they had made a boo-boo.
Yes, I fell down and scraped my knee. It's the worst boo-boo I've ever had.
Oh, not that kind of a boo-boo. He means we brought back the wrong king.
There was only one thing to do. Rocky and Bullwinkle dashed inside the castle to stall the coronation ceremony, while Athos hurried off to retrieve the right king. But en route, Athos passed a gum machine and mistook what he saw in the mirror for his arch-enemy.
Archie, I will defeat you if it take the rest of my life.
Inside the castle, Rocky and Bullwinkle had managed to add a few extra pages to the Archbishop's coronation speech.
47 years ago.
Come on, get it over with and crown me.
Athos better get back here pretty soon. There isn't much time left.
Unfortunately, when Athos did return...
Where's the king?
Don't tell us you came back empty-handed.
But of course not. Look.
Chewing gum.
Yes, that handsome guard gave it to me to stop fighting with him.
I come not to bury Caesar, but to praise him.
Oh, boy.
I'll have to go get the king myself. Whatever you do, fellas, don't let Francois Villain get crowned until I get back.
Enough of this brittle-brattle. Make me king.
But I still have Lou Gehrig's speech at Yankee Stadium left.
Make me king.
Very well. I hereby call you...
Stop!
Who are you?
I'm your Acme carpet cleaning man. There's a stain on your rug.
There is not.
There is now.
Well, clean it up and get out of here.
Well, it won't take but an hour, or longer if I hurry.
Throwing the machine into reverse, Bullwinkle shot a cloud of dirt about the great hall.
It will take him a year to clean this mess. Quick, put the crown on my head.
But the resourceful Moose was equal to the occasion. Switching the machine to intake, he not only sucked up the crown, but the Archbishop and Francois Villain as well. But Villain, too, was equal to the occasion.
Put the crown on me, I say.
But it is dark in here.
Do what I say. Crown me.
Well, he has been asking for it. I hereby crown thee.
The vast audience rose in anger.
Now we will never have a king. Kill the moose.
But you have a king.
And there in the doorway stood Rocket J. Squirrel with the true king of Applesauce Lorraine.
Long live the king! Hip, hip, hooray!
Thus, the good folk of Applesauce Lorraine returned to their former peaceful existence. As for Francois Villain, he was made royal gardener and spent the rest of his life pruning Limburger lilies.
I've had some lousy jobs in my life, but this one really stinks.
Their job done, Rocky and Bullwinkle bid Athos a fond farewell.
Au revoir, Portal. Bon voyage, Aramus.
See, I think it is high time we told you that I am not really Aramus, and he's not really Portal.
That makes us even, mon ami, because I am not really Athos. To be one of the original Moosketeers, I would have to be 500 years old.
Well then, who are you?
Robin Hood.
Well, Little John, here we go again.
Well, I guess that about wraps up another Rocky show.
Certainly hope you enjoyed it. I did. I always say...
Bullwinkle, time for us to go.
Already? Okay, but first, here are some of the people who made this show impossible. Get tired. Oop! Got away from me again.
Well, see you next time. Ready, Bullwinkle?